A directive for yesterday or day before yesterday, my wife is after me to give immunization to my daughters, so that so you give it. Why are they saying that when they are not sure?
This vaccine, the Vaxigrip, what we are using, depends on the strain of 2009. 2009, whatever started in Mexico and Canada, the same strain has been seen in last 2-3 years, and the WHO is constantly evaluating when this strain is going to change. If at all the strain is going to change, WHO is going to declare it. But as of now, WHO has not declared that the H1N1 has totally changed or anything. So H1N1 still persists, and the vaccine which is available has H1N1. So there is a sort of protection. It doesn't guarantee 100% protection, but it guarantees protection. It has 3 strains actually, H1N1. Okay. What we need to understand is this world is divided into southern and northern hemisphere. Northern hemisphere has a different strain pattern, and southern hemisphere of the world has different strain pattern. What we follow in India is the southern hemisphere. The H1N1, it has both type A, type B influenza and H1N1. Type A is Perth, Brisbane and H1N1. These are the 3 strains. Actually, in the northern hemisphere, Massachusetts and Texas, and these are the different. So once it changes, but the H1N1 is common for both the thing because it is pandemic from 2009, and it has not changed as of now. But WHO keeps and check on when the but H1N1 is what is popular and what is famous, and we know it. But there are other H1N3 and 2. They are also potentially possible that they can cause serious illness. Any influenza can cause serious illness provided the person doesn't have adequate immunity. So most important thing is the first check is you do not allow the virus to come to you. That is prevention, whatever way. One is preventing by the hygiene and other things. Second is by vaccine. Vaccine can give some amount of this thing. So IAP recommends it because H1N1 is there. So IAP clearly recommends the vaccination, but it is not made mandatory. It is optional. There are some people like these kind of people above 65 years, below 5 years of age, because above 65 and below 5 years are the immunocompromised. I mean, they have less immunity. And people who are healthcare workers, we are supposed to take actually, according to the what IAP announces. So,
but he says there's no point in taking now, which is about to get over.
Yeah, it should be usually took in somewhere in October.
October, November is the recommended time frame because then by the time December lands, you're immune.
Usually it is like this. During the winter, it's a maximum number of cases. By another 1 month, it will go off. So even if you take a vaccine now, your immunity will be there only after 2-3 weeks at least. And in fact, some require second dose after 1 month. So you may not get the immunity in this season now if you take. So it's ideally to be taken in October. That's why this Vaxigrip is actually Vaxigrip production is stopped, because February end the WHO is going to analyze what is the strain. They are going to anticipate the next, and they are going to release the new batch. If they do not anticipate any change, the batch is going to be the same. If they anticipate some change, the strain of this Vaxigrip is going to change as well.
Okay. So next, I don't need that. So what are the symptoms? When should I get worried? So I am coming to the hospital, walking all around. There are I think there are 6 patients who are tested positive in our hospital.
Before we jump to that, I just want to ask because I have to clarify, Sujata. Testing. Is it testing for H1N1 or is it just testing for any strain of influenza?
H1N1 2009
by
PCR.
In the report, there is also some report I saw A, B, other things also. There are three things which come positive.
But final result they say it is positive for H1N1 2009 pattern.
So that's what I want to clarify, because the testing is also going on only for that. We do not know how many people who have been tested positive actually have it as in the system as such, and they may or may not be. If you start testing other people, you will get many more people who are positive but not symptomatic.
So is it possible that I get H1N1 still I may never have
yes, H1N1 can just come like any running nose for a day and it can go off. Like dengue can be a life-threatening problem as well as a fever for 1 or 2 days. We never know it is dengue unless we test it. So similarly, it can happen with H1N1 as well.
So what is the percentage of people, approximate percentage of people who get serious illness because of H1N1?
I don't know the national statistics, but
Okay.
it's very less.
Okay.
Okay.
Arun, do you
And
have
you
any
sh-
idea? So is it 5%, 10%, or
It-
like
it-
dengue?
it will
I'm
not-
sure the 99% of the patients are normal, are minimum subclinical, and then they escape.
No, you have to realize that H1N1 is a pandemic.
And
Pandemic, by definition, means that it is there in the population at large.
yeah,
And there's going to be a very small percentage who will actually get any symptoms with it or any complications with it.
yeah. So
So-
there's no just to have an I just want everybody to know that it is common. It's like tuberculosis. No,
It is
it's
like
there
any
everywhere.
runny nose.
If I
It's a
have
common
tested
cold.
tuberculosis,
It's a common cold.
yeah,
It's a common cold.
Yeah. So one thing is, I know it can be very dangerous. It can be somebody can die of H1N1 infection. But what we need to know is it is there already. It's like tuberculosis. It is there. Many of us may have had tuberculosis. If we are tested, it will be positive in us. But we never got any symptoms out of that. So we need to treat it as, okay, it's something dangerous, but everybody who gets it or everybody who is exposed to it is not going to die of that. Just the perspective, we need to get it. Okay.
So it's
yeah,
simple. To make it simple, if we leave apart statistics,
Mm.
maybe out of 500 people, 1 or 2 may become sick, and rest 400 plus
Yeah. So
will have running nose and this thing. And in fact, first 48 hours, it just 48 to 72 hours. If it is not subsiding, then only we think of all this. Otherwise,
swab, yeah. Okay, that is the next question. So okay, first tell me what are the symptoms. So is it exactly like cold, a common cold?
Yes.
Or is there anything I should be alarmed of? Oh, I have this, and so I need to get tested.
At least to start with, it is exactly like common cold. There is absolutely no difference.
So there
Even
is
on
fever.
examination, we cannot differentiate.
Yeah. So there is fever, there is myalgia, there is temperature more than 100 degrees, like I said, and maybe cough. Is cough, Ravi? Is cough a distinctive feature of H1N1? Because every time you get cold, you don't cough necessarily. So sometimes it is very mild and you don't get cough, and sometimes you get cough. Sometimes you go on to get secondary infection, and then you end up taking antibiotics and treating it. But somebody was telling me that no, he's coughing, so it's a test for H1N1. So is cough a distinctive feature along with running nose?
Yes, the answer is yes.
Yeah.
Cough is also one
A
of the
distinctive feature.
Yes,
So
absolutely.
if you have cold and you start with cough on day 1, and you need to get alarmed, is that a fair assumption to make? Or you don't know?
No, not really.
You are not really. Okay.
There
So
are
there
various
is
other
no
wheezy.
distinct- yeah.
A person with wheezy already tendency to wheeze
Yeah.
can start coughing on the day 1.
No,
It
that's
may
what
not
I'm
be
saying.
H1N1.
No, we are not talking about people who have wheeze. So let us say us. So I get some running nose and I get cough, severe cough. I am not able to breathe properly, and I get severe myalgia. Because I am talking from little bit practical experience also. Is when Supraja got this thing from day 1, it was extensive. She is the one who would just jump out of bed and come to hospital and see patients, and she could not get up. Okay, and she could not stop coughing. She could not, that severe myalgia.
No, the thing is, it's
Yeah.
what happened yesterday. There's a patient who
Yeah.
came in. I think we both saw it.
Yeah.
I mean, her symptom, although cough was not but she had cough. But what was the distinct thing was she had severe myalgia. I mean,
Yeah,
getting
correct,
out of the
correct.
bed was the most
Most
difficult thing for her.
Yeah.
So that is the reason why I suspected that it is H1N1, and it was almost now 2 weeks now, and still sort of going on. So yesterday we swabbed her and
Yeah.
all that,
Yeah.
So, but anyway,
Waiting for result.
yeah, absolutely.
In 2008, I suffered myself from H1N1 and I was positive in UK.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Oh, ಇದು ಗೊತ್ತೇ ಆಗ್ಲಿಲ್ಲ.
No, I mean, I had a similar.
First from PTH.
My wife was positive. And
Both of you are positive.
Yeah, both of us were positive. Severe myalgia and sore throat was one. Those are the two. And
In general, it will be fast progressive. Some
Yeah.
symptom like cough, either fever and body ache, something will be very fast progressive in first 48 hours itself.
The same year, I mean, I was not tested positive, but I was down for the first time. I really got saying that for a cold and body ache, taking off. That was the first time in my life taking about 5 days off. I mean, I couldn't believe my this one. That I'm taking 5 days off just for cold and the problem is it will be so painful that getting out of the bed itself is a big thing for you. That is the kind of myalgia you have, and very very tired and cough, cold, everything.
Okay,
You couldn't diagnose without temperature though. It doesn't matter any other symptoms, isn't it? The temperature criteria is a must.
That is one of the criteria.
One of the criteria.
So is it a must?
I think so.
What
Yeah,
is the
fever.
must?
Because if the fever is
Fe-
not there,
fever
the
is
patient has
definitely-
only runny nose,
Yeah.
cough, it's not high H1N1.
Fever definitely. First 48 hours, fever is one of the most
important and it has to be like
Running
so
nose,
regular.
fever,
Fever, cough, and running nose.
myalgia.
Yeah, myalgia. So if I say which one is the first serious symptom, so we agreed that it can occur to anybody, but first severe symptom, or you put it as myalgia or fever or
Everywhere,
Fever,
whatever
I
we
think,
have
yeah.
read is fever is mentioned as